Hey guys, listen up.
This is the SEC Insider Hit, powered by Miss Kelly Furniture, Mississippi's number one sleep store.
Your SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by the Purple Mattress from any of the Miss Kelly Sleep Store locations around Mississippi. The one, the only Purple Grid. Groundbreaking, no-pressure gel technology is the star of every Purple mattress from any of the Miss Kelly Sleep Stores. I've been sleeping on one for 2 years. I love it. You'll love it. Try one out today. We are the Out of Bounds Show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Our guests join us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. We welcome in our friend Greg Byrne, Athletic Director, University of Alabama. Roll Tide. Greg, it's been too long. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to hear your voice, Bo. It's talking about Miskelly's. Love Oscar and Chip, and just great family, and glad. And actually, I used the purple pillow, so.
So do I.
I'm not getting paid to say that.
Greg, this was fantastic. Thank you for doing that. This may be the best part of the interview. Greg Byrne on the Out of Bounds Show, giving a plug for the purple pillows. So, Greg, we're coming out of SEC spring meetings, and everybody is ready for June 14th and the unveiling of the schedule for next year. And y'all decided to go with the 1+7, but most people don't think that is going to be permanent. Are you in favor of the 1+7 or the 3+? Are you and Coach Saban and your team 1+7 or 3+6 model, Greg?
I'll give a little background on that. Coach Saban has been very vocal for a long time about playing more Power 5 games, more SEC games. And so we had been advocating for 9, even 10 games. And so about 5-6 years ago, we made another run at it, and it was made very clear that we were going to stay at 8, and that's what the majority of the league wants. And we're proud and be part of the SEC, and so we started scheduling based off of 8, and we starting in 25, we have 2 Power 5 non-conference games every year, which there's only a few schools that do that in the country. And so last year we had the home and home with Texas that they returned this year, and then in 25 I think we've got Wisconsin and Florida State on the schedule. So we had scheduled out based off of 8 conference games, and we've got some matchups that I think are going to be really good for our program and really good for college football. Last year when we played Texas, I think it peaked at 18 million people watching our game at one point. And I think when we play this year against Texas at home at 6 o'clock at night on ESPN, I'm guessing we'll get some similar numbers.
Sure.
And so looking at it, and then looking at matchups we have with Ohio State and Notre Dame, and I mentioned Florida State and Wisconsin, and a lot of other really good games for our program. We were kind of torn, and then I know Coach talked about the 3 permanents that we potentially would have, and that was a little concerning for us too. And so when we looked at the totality of the decision, we thought the 1-7 was best for the University of Alabama, and that's the way we voted, as did a lot of other schools in our conference. I think this will continue to evolve. And, I think fans want to see really good games. And
yes,
the 1-7, the thing that it's going to do is our 1 permanent will be Auburn, and which is challenging because we want to play Tennessee every year if we could. There's a long history with that game with the third Saturday in October. But we're going to have them 2 times in 4 years, but we're going to have everybody else 2 times in 4 years as well. We'll have Georgia, we'll have Florida. We'll have a lot of really good games that will make a lot of sense. The other one we're going to miss, quite frankly, is, Mississippi State. It's 75, 80 miles away from our campuses are from each other.
I'm not going to miss that, though, Greg. I like the every other year. If anybody's taken that beating since 1926, it's the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Ole Miss went 25-year vault, and Coach Paul Bear Bryant made that deal. Ole Miss went on a 25-year run without playing them, and MSU said, "Oh, I'll take that beating." So I'm not going to miss that. Just
So I can understand that, but it's something that so well, there's going to be a lot of both. There's going to be a lot of really good SEC games, and whether we stay at 8 or 9 long term, time will tell. But for the University of Alabama, we saw a lot of positives in staying with 8 because of all these other really good non-conference matchups that we have.
But y'all, Greg Byrne on the Out of Bounds show, AD at Alabama, he joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. But Greg, you do feel like y'all will continue to look at this, and depending on what Disney ESPN offers going forward, addendum to the contract, whatever, you wouldn't be surprised if y'all go to the 3 permanent, 6 rotating model, whether that's in 2025 or at some point in the future?
I could see it happening, yes. But I can tell you, Bo, that not everybody is in favor of 9, no matter what it is.
Okay.
And because they think it's just right for their program right now, and as for now for us, that's where we land as well.
Okay. Well, so, and I'm okay with both, and I do agree with you. We're going to get better Saturdays, which is what we all want. The problem is there's about 4 to 5 Saturdays between Labor Day and Thanksgiving that just aren't that awesome. And I know what y'all are trying to do is offer us, the fans, better games from 11 a.m. through 11 p.m. at night. I like where you're going on the non-conference Power 5. I think the one concern was if we load up in conference, then maybe college football becomes too regionalized, and we don't ever get an Alabama against Michigan or Wisconsin, or a Texas against Southern Cal. Some games outside of the conference. Was there a lot of discussion around that, Greg, the last year or 18 months?
Yeah, there has been. Obviously, we have the 1 Power 5 requirement, and then there's been discussion whether if you go to 9, do you keep that? I think it's good. I agree with you wholeheartedly, but we need to create good matchups that are good for the national brand of college football. Part of what we're doing with our non-conferences is like we've scheduled a home and home with, I mentioned Ohio State, but we're got one with Boston College. It's going to be in September. Our fans will go up there, and it'll be good. It'll be good for college football in the Northeast. We've got one with Minnesota. So we got a lot of Big Ten SEC games that we put together, which I think is good. We even did one Pac-12 one. It is challenging to play a Pac-12 team at night because you don't get home until 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning the next day, and that throws off your entire schedule. But I couldn't agree with you more. You got to create good matchups that work for your program, but also work for the national brand of what college football represents and getting people interested in it and your future fans. So we very much have had that in mind, and we've tried to back that up with our actions. And I think if you look at what's ahead for Alabama and a lot of other SEC schools, you've seen some of that. I mean, even Mississippi State playing Arizona, Scott Strickland and I were the two that put that together. I think there was good interest in both the communities. I know the Arizona game is this year, but last year when Mississippi State went to Arizona, that was good. That was good for the SEC to be out west and have some exposure in that way.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Greg Byrne on the Out of Bounds show. So throughout your discussion, the discussions of the presidents and ADs in the conference and Disney ESPN, I know another goal of the conference, Greg, I would think, is to make all day compelling. And there's this stigma, not for me, because I love 11 a.m. games because I'm different. I'm in the business, and it gives me an opportunity to go to the game, come back, throw something on the grill, and watch the games in the afternoon and in the evening. But for the fan that has to drive from Montgomery to your place or Macomb to Mississippi State or Oxford, different deal. So is there a focus on making the whole day compelling and making that 11 a.m. time slot put some sizzle up there too, not just mid-afternoon and prime time at night, Greg?
Yeah, they're all important to ESPN. They're all important to us, and so they will certainly be looking for matchups. I know Fox has gone heavy with the Big Ten and the Big 12 on that 11 a.m. Central Time window. And they're competitive with one another, Fox and ESPN. They like to compete just like we like to compete with our peer schools. and so yeah, I think there'll be an emphasis on that. Now, I think the fans at times have struggled with 11 a.m. kicks, especially early when it's hot. But although I've taken 11 a.m. over 3 o'clock in the first few weeks, there's a difference in heat there. But no, the TV companies are all going to be competitive with one another, and so ESPN will not just say, "Hey, we're going to let another broadcasting station have control over that one." So I think there will absolutely be competition in those markets or those time frames.
Sure. So, and when you're looking at it, it doesn't matter if it's a Mississippi State or Ole Miss fan or a Bama or Georgia fan, Greg, as far as when any of those teams play Mercer. You're just not going to be able to pack the stadium. So as this evolves, and you just mentioned the non-con Power 5 mandate is still in place, and who knows if it will be, depending on what y'all do. If you go to the 3-6 model, do you ever envision a day, I don't know, 5-10 years from now, where it's all 12 games are Power 5, Greg?
Yeah, I don't. You never say never, but I do think for the health of the game, there is value in having what used to be 1AA, now FCS program on your schedule, and I think that helps from a development of your team. What I don't think is you can get away with 3 or 4 kind of average or below average games on your schedule and keep demand on your season ticket. We actually I got updated on season tickets just a couple of days ago, and we are beyond where we normally are at this point in the last 5 years from a season ticket renewal standpoint. We're at like a 96-97% renewal rate right now, and I think the home schedule that we have this year is driving a lot
Texas,
of that, especially the Texas game.
Yeah,
and so you can't be naive. You have to say that the consumer demands that. Heck, the kids like that. You talk to most coaches, and it's not always, but your week of practice leading up to a game like that is going to be better than sometimes it is for what is perceived as a non-conference game that doesn't carry as much excitement.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just think long-term, for the health of the game, for the interest of the game, you need to put compelling matchups, and we all have a responsibility, whatever level you're at, in different conferences, to create matchups that people are going to be interested in. I mean, people know that, or a lot of people know I have ties out west. When I was born in the state of Idaho, when Idaho and Idaho State play each other, that means a lot within the borders of that conference, or within the borders of that state. And when Idaho went up a level and tried to be at the same level as Boise State and go to the FBS level, that wasn't good for college football in that state. We all have a responsibility, whatever the level is, to put those types of matchups that mean something to those fan bases, that mean something to the universities and the kids on the team, and that goes beyond football. That's in all your sports. And so I think we all need to be focused on that. How many we end up where we only do Power 5 FBS games, time will tell. But I do think we have an absolute responsibility to put good, compelling matchups out there for the fans and the kids and your universities.
Director of Athletics, University of Alabama, was the AD at Mississippi State and Arizona, Greg Byrne, joining us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. You're listening Out of Bounds on 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Talking SEC football scheduling. Everybody's excited. June 14th around the corner. We'll see what it looks like. Smart to put it on TV and stream it, and everybody will get juiced up as Texas and Oklahoma will be coming into the league. What's more important for you and Coach Saban and your university, Greg? You mentioned it earlier. Is it the third Saturday in October, Bama Tennessee, or Bama LSU every year?
There's more history with the Tennessee game. That the LSU game has been a very compelling matchup. They've got a great program, great university, and fan base. But there's obviously, the Tennessee game has meant so much to both programs, and that would, if we had to choose with the 1-7, we won't be choosing. But if we had to choose, that would be the one. But they both are very important to us.
Okay. When you look at the college football playoff, and now that we're going to be going to 12 teams, which I think is good, do you like the fact that the G5 is represented? I'd rather it be all Power 5. Do you like the fact that
I think the idea of giving one of the most important things in sports is hope, right? That every year you start the year and you think, man, I got a chance to go compete. And even last year, think about baseball where Ole Miss was the last one to get in and then they go win the national championship. You always want to have hope. And so I do think for the health of the game across the country to where everybody at the FBS levels feels like they at least have a chance to go after the brass ring is there's value there for the long-term health of the program. Now, what I also think is that you should put the best programs out there and not, there's the discussion of Bama fatigue and all that. And that probably impacted us a little bit last year. And listen, everybody that was in the playoff last year had a great season, and they obviously cherished the opportunity to be
But
there.
you were one of the best four. I'll say this. Okay, you lost on the road at the end of the game twice at Tennessee and at LSU. So now that team gets, as you know more than I do, that team gets in the new format. Okay, and has a chance. You had the best quarterback in college football and has a chance to win it. But you were one of the best four teams, even though you lost on the road in Baton Rouge and Knoxville. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so I think what I just want to make sure is that it's not just hey, these guys have been here a lot before. Let's take somebody else. And the College Football Playoff Committee, there's good people on there. They've got great integrity. They're gonna make sure integrity is part of the process. And hindsight's easy when you see the results of the game. So but what I do think is, one is that everybody should be treated the same every year and viewed not from what they've done in the past, but what they've done this year. Number two is, I think, and I've talked to Commissioner Sankey about it, is let's make sure that strength of schedule is part of that. So those teams that we're talking about, do you have 8 SEC games? Do you play 2 Power 5 non-conference games? Whatever your formula is, that strength of schedule is valued. And so, a loss with a 10 or 11 game SEC or Power 5 schedule should be viewed differently than somebody who's scheduled 8 or 9. Mm-hmm. And I think as long as that's part of the formula and strength of schedule is rewarded and good matchups are rewarded, I think everybody at the FBS level should be given a chance to be at least in discussion, and then make sure that we're putting aside any fatigue or anything like that could impact decision making. But I can tell you that the people with the CFP are good people. They care about it, and they're making the best decisions they can with the information that they have. But back to what we've been talking about, let's create incentive for good matchups, and I think that will help schools decide, hey, do we play 8 or 9 conference games? How many Power 5 non-conference games do we play? And if we play more of those types of games, that's good for the game of football, and that's good for the interest level. And so I think that needs to all be part of the discussion as we move forward to what it looks like with the playoff.
Greg Byrne on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Greg, can you talk about why Dr. Mark Keenum is such an outstanding leader in his run at Mississippi State and his ties to the SEC and college football playoff?
Yeah, he's done a great job at Mississippi State. There, as Mississippi State people know, there was some turnover in the presidency for a while, and he came on right as I was about ready to leave to Arizona. But I got to spend time with him then, and I was like, man, this guy's a heck of a leader. I had a great vision, the way he was able to articulate that, and he and his wife Rhonda have been a great partnership and team together. And so it hasn't surprised me, whether, I would deal with Scott Strickland or I'd deal with John Cohen. And now with Zach Selman, he's offered great support to the athletic department. You've seen a lot of success that Mississippi State has had. That's been really good to see. And, he's very influential within the room in the SEC, and he's had great lasting, power and stability for the university. So yeah, he's done a wonderful job. I'm proud to call him a friend and an admirer too. Amazing
run. Last one, Greg Byrne on the Out of Bounds show. I assume you've done this, but what's it like to play a round of golf with Nick Saban?
Yeah, I have. We usually play a few times a year. It may surprise everybody. He's ultra competitive, and so we have a friendly game of golf, and we you want to beat one another, and he and I probably are similar. I'm a 12, and by the end of the summer I can break 80 every once in a while. But he's a competitive guy. He plays he plays well. He strikes the ball well. So it's fun. But you get him away from the grind of the office, and we do talk about life, and I talk to him about leadership, and talk to him about some coaching stories and life stories, and he really, one of the things about him that people maybe don't always realize, he's actually a really good listener, and he's very thoughtful with his words, and I've really, I think, I don't know for sure, I think I may be the AD that's worked with him the longest now, and it's been a great partnership, and I really enjoy that. And when I get a chance to spend time with him on the golf course, it's always a highlight.
Greg, it was great to catch up. We appreciate your time today, and we need to do it again soon. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Bo. Appreciate you reaching out. Roll Tide.
Greg Byrne, Director of Athletics, University of Alabama, on the future of SEC football scheduling. We're going to go with one permanent, rotate 7 for now, and we'll see how long we do that, and if and when we make the move to 3 permanent plus 6. But Greg made some good points on the 1 plus 7 and the 3 plus 6. And Alabama has Texas this year, and Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Florida State coming up as far as non-conference Power 5 games. The Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, is brought to you by the Purple Mattress from any of the Miskelly Sleep Store locations or Miskelly Furniture. The one, the only, Purple Grid, groundbreaking, no-pressure gel technology is the star of every Purple mattress, powered by any of the Miskelly Sleep Stores in Mississippi or Miskelly Furniture. You can go to Miskellys.com. That's Miskellys.com. And we appreciate Greg Byrne joining us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. We'll have Tom Luganbill, National College Football Analyst with ESPN. Lugs Mania will join us at 8:30. And then Matt Janella, who was with the Golf Channel for a decade. Matt Janella will stop by. He's going to get up early. He lives in San Diego. He was also with Sports Illustrated prior to that. And Janella is a golf insider, and he is going to discuss the merger of the PGA, the LIV Tour, and the European Tour, now all under one roof. And the PIF, the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, and how that all got done. And now Phil Mickelson, Sergio Garcia are back in play as possible Ryder Cup captains in the future. They were not when they decided to join the LIV Tour. But Rory McIlroy missed out on $200+ million. Justin Thomas missed out on $150+ million. And Hideki Matsuyama missed out on $300 million, not going with LIV. Now they're all under one roof. Hour number 2 coming up at the Out of Bounds Show.